Good morning, everyone. Can you please confirm that you can hear me and you can clearly see my screen?
Good morning, sir.
You can see my screen, right? Good morning. Okay.
Yes.
So let us continue from where we stopped in our previous class. We solved, what example is this? Example 11. And I think I gave you 12 as assignment, right? I think I gave you 12 as assignment. So we are going to example 13. Yeah, I gave you 12 as assignment. Let's go to 13. Let's go to 13. Example 13. Okay, I believe we are with our study text. So let's read from there and we'll attempt to solve the question. Now, first of all, let us go and look at the requirements of this question. Oh, have we not solved question 13? Hello? I think we solved question 13, have we?
No, we've not solved question 13.
Was it not question 13 that I said you should do the A part, and I now show you how to calculate a weighted average beta?
There are two example 13 there.
You
The
said?
one you solved was Baku. There are two example 13. I think the second one was supposed to be example 14.
We solved it earlier, Abby.
The one we solved is Baku, example 13. Then there's another example 13. I think there's a typographical error in the material.
Oh, okay. Please, label it. The first one, the first 13 should stand. The next 13 should be 14. Let us renumber the questions. Okay? So the one we have, the directors of Fameco, should be example 14. You don't understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go and solve question 14 then. Example 14.
You've seen my book, you've seen what I've been.
Example 14, that's Fameco. Fameco Limited. Okay, what is the requirement of this question? Required, compute the equity beta of X-Fed. Compute the equity beta of X-Fed. And 2, derive an appropriate equity beta for Fameco US subsidiary. And 3, using the capital asset pricing model or the Modigliani and Miller proposition 2 with tax. Compute an appropriate cost of equity for Fameco US subsidiary. These are the requirements of the question. Now, before I continue, I made a suggestion on Monday. I don't know whether you people have decided, and you have not communicated to me. So please, I wait for your communication so that we can plan ahead. So let's continue. The directors of Fameco Limited, a courier delivery services company based in Ghana, are considering a proposal for setting up a subsidiary in the United States of America to provide courier services in North America. The capital of this new subsidiary will be structured as 20% equity and 80% debt. The directors are not sure of what will be an appropriate discount rate for appraising the North American business. You have been asked to recommend an appropriate discount rate for this project. You have gathered the following information for this exercise. 1, competition in the US Korea industry. The US Korea services industry is highly competitive. If Ameco set up the subsidiary in the US, its main competitor will be Exfed Corporation. Exfed capital structure is 70% equity and 30% debt. Market risk. The following statistics have been computed from historical excess return on the equity stock of Exfed Corporation and that on the S&P 500 index, a proxy for the market portfolio. We have S&P 500 index, Exfed equity stock, average return, standard deviation, sample variance, and the kurtosis. Then we have skewness. You analyze the correlation between the excess return on Exfed and excess return on the S&P 500 index and obtain a correlation coefficient of 0.91. That page 4 of 22 should be cancelled. It's not part of the question. The annual risk-free rate and market return. The annual rate of interest on the 10-year US Treasury bond is 2.1%. The expected return on the S&P 500 index is 7%. Taxation. Exfed pays corporate income tax at the rate of 30%. However, the effective corporate income tax rate of profit for Fameco's North American operations will be 35%. Now, let me explain this question. Fameco is currently based in Ghana, okay? The company is currently based in Ghana, and it is providing courier services, okay, to its customers. Now, the company is now considering going into the United States of America, North America precisely, to set up a business there as a subsidiary. So, the task ahead of us now is to calculate an appropriate cost of capital that is suitable for appraising the proposed investment in US. That is the task ahead. Now, how do we tackle this kind of question? To solve this kind of question, this is going to be treated as a diversification project because there's what we call international diversification, okay? There's what we call international diversification. International diversification means you are establishing an investment in a country other than your what? Other than your current country or your base country, other than the country where you are based. That is international diversification, okay? That is international diversification. Now, Fameco is going into US. Fameco is currently in Ghana. So the company wants to go and establish a business in the US. Therefore, the company is diversifying internationally, okay? The company is diversifying internationally. Hence, project-specific cost of capital will apply. Now, how do we now compute this project-specific cost of capital? The procedure we gave earlier still stands. It doesn't change. Now, we are given Exfed, and the question lets you know that this Exfed is going to be the competitor of Fameco subsidiary in the US. So, what does that mean? It means that is my that Exfed is my proxy company. That is my, because Exfed is already in the US operating a courier service. Do you understand? Therefore, that Exfed represents our proxy company. Don't forget that a proxy company is a company that is already in that world, in that industry that you are going into. So Exfed is already in the US. So Exfed is our proxy company. So now, if you look at this question, the first requirement is that we should compute cost of equity of Exfed. That is cost, sorry, bet, equity beta of X Fed. We have to compute equity beta of X Fed. That is beta of the project. Don't forget that before you can compute project specific cost of capital, you must know the beta of the process company, right? So that is the reason why the question just broke it out for you so that it will be easier. This question was question from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Ghana. Okay, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Ghana. That's where I call this question from. So let us go and solve this question. Roman figure 1. Computation of equity beta for X Fed. Okay. X Fed. Let's spell it the way this. Did it for X Fed. Now, for you to compute beta of equity beta, okay, we have the formula, and that is going to be treated in capital asset pricing model, where we start a portfolio theory and capital asset pricing model. That is why we are going to learn how to compute beta. However, I'm going to give you the formula here for the purpose of this question only. Of course, we have already used a similar formula before. Let me see if I can see it here. We have used a similar formula before. Example, what is that? Where we computed beta. I think, 1 minute, please. I think we see DVA, because of we see CAPEL. Look at the formula I gave earlier, this one here. This one of the formula. This one of the formula. The one we used before. This, let me reference it. This formula 1 for computing beta. Okay, this one of the formula for computing beta. Okay, then 2, the second formula. The second formula is given as beta of equity is equal to standard deviation of the investments all over standard deviation of the market. Standard deviation of the market. Standard deviation of the investment over standard deviation of the market. We also have the third one as beta of equity is equal to variance of the investments, that is this one raised to power 2, raised to power 2. The square of standard deviation is variance. When you square standard deviation, you get variance. So this one I've written here represents variance. Variance of the investment all over variance of the market. Let me just copy this out straight. All over variance of the market. All over variance of the market. So where I have I, I'll just change it to M. Then we can have this one as what? Multiplied by RI. Okay, don't worry. Let me just copy this one and give you the fourth one. Those are the fourth one so that I don't distort it. The fourth formula is correlation of the investments, that is R, correlation of the investments with the markets, correlation of the investment return with the markets, multiplied by variance of the investments. Let me copy this one. Variance of the investments over variance of the markets. These are the 4 relevant formulas for computing beta. Now, the first one which I've explained earlier is what? These R represent correlation. Okay? This represents standard deviation. So this is the correlation of the investment return with the market. This is standard deviation of the investment, and this represents the standard deviation of the market return. Now, you see that the difference between the second formula and the first is that for the first one, we have correlation. The second one does not have correlation. So if in the question there is no correlation, if the question does not give you correlation, but they give you standard deviation, this is what they are going to use. If the question does not give you correlation, and it's not possible for you to compute correlation, then there's nothing you can do. It means in your formula, you just ignore correlation. The same thing happened here. This is what? The difference between the second formula and the third formula is just that the third formula is variance, while the second one is what? Is standard deviation. That's the only difference. And the only difference between the fourth formula and the first one is the fact that this one is variance and the other one is what? Is standard deviation. When you take the square root of standard deviation, when you take the square root of a variance, you get standard deviation. When you square standard deviation, you get what? You get variance. So these are the 4 relevant formulas for computing beta. We're going to see more of this when we start portfolio theory and capital asset pricing model. So I want to compute beta of equity for XFed. Beta of equity for XFed. Let's look at the information given to us. We have a standard deviation of XFed to be what? I'm using the, you have correlation? Yes. We have correlation of 0.91. Look at it. We have S&P index. And what's the definition? What's the definition that the question gives to S&P 500 index? It tells you that S&P 500 index represents the market portfolio. Okay, it represents the what? The market portfolio. So anything market is represented by S&P 500 index. So that is 0.91. Is correlation between XFed subsidiary in US and the market return. That is this one you see here. This one you see here. That's what this represents. So I just go and bring that correlation, 0.91 multiplied by standard deviation of XFed, that's of the investment of the company, of XFed US subsidiary. What is the standard deviation? The standard deviation is 0.1521. So I multiply it by 0.1521. Everything here over standard deviation of the market. Standard deviation of the market is 0.1875. That is standard deviation of S&P 500 index, because that is what we are using to represent our market. So,
sir, please come again. 0.91. You know, I can't find it in the question.
Which one?
0.91. The correlation of investment and market.
Look at it. The question says that you analyze the correlation between excess return on XFed and excess return on the S&P 500 index. Now, you know,
paragraph.
After that table they gave us the next paragraph.
Okay.
Are you there? Have you seen it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. You analyze the correlation between the excess return on X-Fed and XFed return on the S&P 500 index and obtain a correlation coefficient of 0.91. Now, S&P 500 index is our market. Abi, sure you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So that's the correlation between X-Fed's expected return on its US subsidiary and what? And the market return in the US. That's the correlation. That's what we have as RI, M. Correlation of X-Fed with the market. Correlation of X-Fed with the market. So I will divide it by the standard deviation of the market, which is 0.1875. 0.1875. This will give me my beta. So let's do that. 0.1521 times 0.91 all over 0.1875. So we have 0.74. Did you get the same thing? I believe you are doing it. Mrs. Angela, Mrs. Chiwe, hope we are doing it.
Question, sir.
Okay.
Well, this is 0.18. Please do get it, please.
You said?
When you got 0.1875.
It's in the table there. Look at it. That table they gave us. The first one is average return, Abi. The second one is what? Standard deviation.
No, sorry, but I thought we are using that of X-Fed.
Yes, no. X-Fed is 0.1521. That's what we have here. The first one is for
yes.
X-Fed. This is it. The second one is for the market. Look at the formula here. You know this formula. Correlation of X-Fed with the market multiplied by what? Standard deviation of X-Fed.
Is the one that.
You said? What do you say, ma'am?
Hello?
Please, give me 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds.
I said the one we are using. The formula is the one that.
Okay, I think I should hear you better now. Okay, I can hear you now. What do you say? Hello? Mrs. Angela? I'm waiting for you. Are you fine now? Ma? I can hear you now.
I think the confusion is
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Hello, sir.
I can hear you clearly now.
Hello, sir. Hello. I was saying that.
I can hear you
formula
now.
we are using.
Eh?
Okay. The formula we are using the equity beta. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, talk.
Hello? So what I was saying the formula we're using to get our equity
is the formula we are using.
Has correlation. Okay? Correlation. Our correlation.
And it's like your network is not your network is not stable. I can't hear you again. I can't hear you again at all. I can't hear you.
Hello?
Mrs. Shehu, can you hear me clearly?
Now, the standard deviation for X-Fed is 0.152.
The standard deviation of what?
And you're not saying that the standard deviation for the market is 0.1.
Madam, I can't hear you at all, honestly.
You put a question in the chat box, something that
Mr. Angela, can you just put it on the chat board, please? Can you just put your question on the chat box, please?
Excuse me, sir.
Put your question on the channel so that we don't waste much of our time, please. So let us continue. So this is how we get our what? Our beta of equity for X-Fed. Beta of equity of X-Fed is 0.74. So let's go to the second requirement. Requirement 2. Requirement 2. Derive an appropriate equity beta for Fameco US subsidiary. Now, appropriate what? Computation of appropriate equity beta for Fameco US subsidiary. Now, we now have to go through the procedure for computing project-specific cost of capital. Madam Angela, put your question on the chat box so that I can respond to.
Okay.
So, our proxy company is what? Which is our proxy company? Our proxy is X-Fed. Is X-Fed. This is our proxy company, X-Fed. So, what's our proxy equity beta? Proxy beta of equity. The one we computed is 0.74. That's the proxy beta of equity. So what do we need to do? Because X-Fed is geared, Abby. X-Fed is geared because it's having gearing ratio. We need to ungear this beta. Ungear the beta of equity of the proxy using the proxy gearing. We're using the proxy gearing to do that. So if this is the case, we have beta of asset is equal to what? We'll just go and copy the formula so that we don't waste our time. We'll go and copy the formula straight. Okay. Here's the formula. Bring it down. That's our formula then. Now, what's our beta of equity? We have it there. What's our market value of equity? Sorry. We have to go and look for our gearing. What's the gearing for X-Fed? For X-Fed, Abby? Yeah. That's our proxy. Let's see. Well, if I make consult, be X-Fed Corporation. X-Fed capital is structured in what? 70-30. So 70% equity, and debt is what? And debt, value of debt is 30%. And what's the tax rate? The tax rate for X-Fed is let's see. X-Fed pay corporate tax at what? 30%. At 30%. at 30%. So we don't have debt beta. So we can continue. We have a beta of assets is equal to 0.74 times 70 all over 70 plus 30 into bracket 1 minus 0.3. 1 minus 0.3. So beta of asset will be equal to 0.74 times 70. 0.74 times 70 will give me 51.8. 51.8 all over 70 plus 30, 0.7. Beta of asset will be equal to 51.8 all over 30 times 0.7 plus 70, 91. 91. So beta of asset will be equal to 51.8 over 91. 51.8 divided by 91. That gives us 0.57. 0.57. This is the business risk that Fameco subsidiary face in the US. So, by the questions request that we compute what? Beta of equity of Fameco US subsidiary. So I will reject this. Reject the beta of assets using Fameco US subsidiaries gearing. Subsidiary. So to regain, we want to compare beta of equity. Beta of equity is equal to beta of assets plus beta of assets minus beta of debt times market value of debt 1 minus tax rate all over market value of equity. So what is the market value of equity of Fameco US subsidiary? We're told that if this is set up, Fameco's US subsidiary will have the gearing will be 80% debt and 20% equity. 20% equity, market value of debt 80%. This is what the gearing will be for the US Fameco US subsidiary. So, and the tax rate will be what? The tax rate will be 35%. The tax rate will be 35%. So put this in the formula. We have beta of equity to be equal to 0.57 plus bracket 0.57 minus 0 times 80 1 minus 0.35 all over 20. So beta of equity be equal to 0.57 plus 0.57 times 80 into bracket 0.65 over 20. So beta of equity be equal to 0.57 plus 0.57 times 80 that's 0.65, 80 times 0.65 divided by 20 will give me 2.6. So multiply this and add. We have beta of equity to be equal to 2.6 times 0.57 plus 0.57. We have 2.052. 2.052. That is the beta of equity of the Fameco US subsidiary. That's the beta of equity of the Fameco US subsidiary. Are we fine with this?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Angela, Mrs. Chinwe, confirmation from you that you are fine with this. Are we fine?
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. This S&P 500 index.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm confused about it because from the question now we have said as a proxy company. So this S&P 50 index now, which proxy company is this for?
It's what?
This S&P 50 index, which proxy company is this proxy for the market?
It's representing the market as a whole, not a particular company. It's representing the market as a whole. Any information about the market is what is represented by S&P 500 index.
Okay.
You know we have
I think
market.
it's
The one I explained earlier.
the question.
So S&P 500 index is the proxy for the market as a whole.
Okay, sir.
Do you understand? Instead of
It's
that,
inside the question.
ma'am.
It's stated in the question that is the proxy for the market portfolio. That S&P 500
Yes.
is a proxy for the market portfolio. So it's already in the question.
Okay, it's in the question. Abi?
Question, yes.
Uh-huh.
Before the table.
Before the table. You can see that exactly. From historical asset return on equity stock of Extract Corporation, and that on the S&P 500 index, a proxy for the market portfolio. That's that. So that is representing the market. I will say market return. You understand? So that is what that S&P 500 index is representing. This Zoom link will go off in the next 1 minute. So let us rejoin using the same link. We're using the same link to rejoin.